The magical power of intention. A little review. We have explained that our thoughts and intention direct how we move through the alt space, and that when we're asleep, this movement is free of the burden of inert matter inherent in material realization. The slightest hint of a thought is enough to instantly carry the dreamer into a corresponding sector of the field. In the physical, everything happens more slowly due to the heavy density of matter. The principle, however, is the same. Our thoughts have a direct impact on the course of events in our life. Is that so, you might ask skeptically, thinking it's action, not thought, that shapes your life? How convenient to learn what I do doesn't matter as long as I think the right things. Actually, there's no contradiction here. It's not just about what you think or what you do, but the interplay between them. Most people focus on the outcomes of their actions because they're more tangible while ignoring the role of their thoughts. This is tied to the effect of balance forces. We've already seen how excess potential disrupts balance, often producing results opposite to what you desire. The more intensity you bring to a situation, the more reality resists. You may strive for something, yet experience its opposite. When this happens, people either assume they've made a mistake or believe achieving what they want is inherently difficult. This misunderstanding overlooks how thoughts and energy shape reality. On one hand, it is said that our thoughts program the energy that flows through us, guiding us toward lifelines that align with those thoughts. In this way, our thoughts transfer us into sectors of the alt space with corresponding scripts and scenery, just like when we're dreaming. On the other hand, in everyday physical reality, thoughts alone seem to have little weight, as we cannot achieve our desires purely by thinking. No amount of thought, even considering the density of matter, will shift us to another lifeline while we sit idly without action. There only appears to be a contradiction in how we have presented the role of thought. We're gradually working towards a more comprehensive explanation of why attempts at visualization rarely achieve the desired result. As you know, the most obvious reason for this lies in the excess potential which we create when we're intensely attached to the fulfillment of our desires, or when we expect the script should unfold in a particular way towards the goal and resist the natural flow, trying to row upstream, crashing against the waves. The second reason visualization often fails is the slow, inert process of material realization. People sometimes give up on their goals too soon, thinking it's a lost cause, when in reality, the goal just needs more time to manifest. You might recall moments when something you wanted came to you much later, after you've given up hope and forgotten about it. Another common mistake is expecting instant results, assuming everything will happen right away. Patience and persistence are key. The third reason visualization isn't working is if you've set several goals at the same time that are not connected. Your thought energy will be spread too thin and dissipate into emptiness. The alt flow will not allow you to swim in different directions at the same time. Attuning to a targeted sector is most effective when focused on one specific goal. We will return to this idea in the next section. That said, it has to do with the fact that the goal you picked is a false goal, i.e. not your true goal, and or you're walking through the wrong door. Wrong goal, wrong door is a double negative whammy, but it could also be walking towards the right goal but through the wrong door. Anyways, you'll learn more about this later. In dreams, many limiting factors like the excess potential of projected importance is much less burdensome, the quality of density plays no part, and the mind rests from the daily struggles to achieve its goals. However, even in dreams, not all desires are fulfilled. Those who practice lucid dreaming will know not every whim will carry the dreamer into the matching sector. So, what is the problem? The answer is as simple as it is fundamental. There is no problem, and it has nothing to do with a person's thoughts. The secret is that realization is brought about not by desire, but by one's attitude to that which is desired. It is not a person's thought about the object of their desire that is significant, but something else difficult to describe in words. There is a certain force that has the last word, and yet it lingers in the wings while the thinking game takes center stage. You will, of course, have guessed that this force is intention. The rational mind has not yet found a comprehensive definition for intention among the shelves of its chosen designations. Here, we will roughly define intention as resoluteness in the decision to have and act. Now, you can see that thoughts of themselves really do not mean anything in the process of attuning to a specific sector in the alt space. Thoughts are just foam on the crest of the wave of intention. It is not desire that is fulfilled so much as intention. Here is another metaphor to describe the idea of wanting. You want to raise your hand. The desire is registered in your thoughts, at which point you become aware of the desire. But it is not the desire that actually makes you raise your hand. Desire of itself does not have the power to generate action. The hand only lifts when your thoughts about the desire have been fully processed, leaving only the decision to act. Neither is it decisiveness that raises your hand. You may have made a firm decision to raise your hand, but not do so. So, what in the end makes you lift your hand? What can we call this thing that lies beyond decisiveness? The rational mind is powerless to provide a clear and comprehensive explanation of what intention actually is. Our definition of intention as resoluteness in the decision to have and to act only demonstrates the prelude to the force that creates action. All we can do is state the fact that the hand is lifted not by desire and not by decisiveness, but by intention. The thing designated as resoluteness is introduced to cause your muscles to finally contract. It is very difficult to explain what intention represents. We do not even question how we move our arms and legs. We forgot that there was a time when we did not know how to walk or what to do when we first sat on a bicycle without stabilizers. Even when we learned to ride a bike, we cannot explain how exactly we did it. Intention is a very subtle thing. It is difficult to acquire and easily lost. Desire of itself leads to nothing. On the contrary, the more intensely you desire something, the more active the backlash of balanced forces. Desire focuses on the goal, whereas intention focuses on the process of achieving the goal. Desire is realized via the creation of excess potential in relation to the goal. Intention is realized via action. Desire analyzes how the goal is achieved. Intention does not intellectualize about whether the goal is achievable or not. Once the decision is made, all you have to do is act. If in a dream when you want to fly, you start analyzing whether it is possible or not, nothing will happen. If you want to fly, you just have to intend yourself up in the air. In dreams, the choice of any script is brought about not by desire as such, but by the firm expectation of having the object of your desire. You do not analyze, you do not desire, you simply have and act. We have talked about the futility of wanting something already, but what about asking for something to be given to you? There is not much that can be said about asking for things. There is no point in asking the angels, God, or higher powers for the things you want. The laws of the universe are absolutely dispassionate, completely indifferent to your complaints, pain, grief, and sorrow. The excess potential created by a request, on the contrary, delays action, leading to a concentration of energy. Complaints, requests, and demands are the invention of pendulums aimed at harvesting energy. Thoughts expressed in the words of give and want automatically create excess potential. When you speak these words, it suggests that you do not have something you want and are trying to attract it with the power of your thoughts. Gratitude, however, is another matter, because gratitude is by nature similar to unconditional love. When a person experiences feelings of sincere gratitude, they radiate creative energy. In addition, gratitude is the future now. Gratitude now shares the feelings of having with the desired future. It collapses desire into the present moment of existence. Gratitude is the wine of the soul. Go on, get drunk. Rumi. There really is no point in trying to solicit something from higher powers or any other power. It is the same as walking into a shop and asking the owner to give you something of what they sell for free. You can request things of people within certain limits if they like you, but everything else in this world is built on objective law and not the desire to have someone help you. Imagine how absurd it would be if the Earth asked the Sun for permission to shift into a different orbit, or a river asking the ocean for permission to flow, or a tree asking the rain for permission to grow, or the wind asking the mountains for permission to blow, and a lion asking the jungle for permission to hunt. Would you ask yourself permission to eat, sleep, laugh, or breathe? So why would you ever ask permission to live out your dreams? The only thing that does make sense is your intention to choose. When you choose, you are creating your own destiny. If the parameters of the energy you radiate match your choice and no laws are being contradicted, then you will receive what you choose. Choice is about the decision to have and to take action, not about request. Intention does not create excess potential because the energy inherent in the desire's potential is dissipated through action. Intention unites desire and action. Intention in action discharges the excess potential created by the desire quite naturally without invoking balanced forces. If you need to solve a problem, act. Contemplating the complexity of a problem simply creates excess potential and feeds the pendulum your energy. When you take action, you realize the energy behind intention. The hands do what the eyes fear to pursue, as they say. When you set about realizing an intention, trust the outflow and the problem will solve of its own accord. Waiting, worrying, doubt, and desire only drain your energy. Intention in action not only dissipates the energy behind excess potential, it uploads that energy to the person's energy field. You can see how true this is when you're studying. Swatting and cramming requires a lot of energy for a relatively minor result. In contrast, rather than leaving you feeling exhausted, learning via action, physical work, or applied problem solving is inspiring and fulfilling.